Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another session of Q&A with Ronnie Landis, and I'm a little late to this video. We're supposed to do this every Wednesday, and I got a little sidetracked. I've been working on getting this book project sent off to my publisher. We got the chocolate business going, so a lot of really exciting things, but I'm coming to you now on Saturday afternoon, and I have a question from someone, from a friend, Audrey. And she's basically asking for her specific condition and things that she's working with. She's basically asking how many herbs should she take and in what kind of concentrations. And this is actually a really important topic that comes up a lot, is trying to understand the dosages of like herbs and different types of supplements and how you need to modulate the dosage to get the desired effect. So in terms of herbalism, I've put together a few key points that I laid out here to keep me on track, and some perspectives that you can start to apply to your personal strategy that might prove beneficial for figuring out how to administer different dosages and how to create like a ritualistic strategy in order to stay consistent. So the first thing to understand is you need to know why that you're doing what you're doing. If you're going to be effective with your dietary protocol or your herbal protocol, your supplement regime, you have to understand what is your desired effect. So if you're dealing with a certain issue, a physiological issue, could even be like a mental cognitive issue, whatever it is, you have to understand what you're going for and what you're trying to achieve, and that's going to help you figure out what kind of herbs, what kind of superfoods, what kind of food in general or supplements that you need to start gravitating towards and apply to your strategy. So that's the first thing, getting clarity on the desired outcome that you wish to have. The next thing is understanding tonic herbalism. One of the things in herbal supplements that I think intimidates people initially is that they think that if they do too many herbs, that it's actually going to throw off their biochemistry and that they're going to have some kind of like acute reaction or something like to that extent. And this is kind of coming from kind of the pharmaceutical model, and I won't go into a whole rant on that, but basically understand that tonic herbs, things like chaga mushroom, like reishi mushroom, like chanca piedra, like cat's claw, like pau d'arco, ashwagandha, ginseng, mucunia, these kind of things. A lot of these power herbs, or what's called super herbs, are actually tonic herbs. And what tonic means is that you can do these herbs every single day, taken like food. In fact, in a lot of ways, these herbs actually affect your body more beneficially if they're taking with food and as food, like using it in like some kind of treat, like a chocolate or like a superfood brownie, or with a smoothie or an ice cream, something to that extent. So you can take these things every single day, and you can start to up the dosages. For example, if I were to do reishi mushroom, if I was a beginner, I might start with half a tablespoon. Now, on these labels, these are FDA regulated generally, so they will give you a smaller margin for dosage than is actually effective. So you have to know that. When you see like on, let's say Mushroom Science's reishi label, it might say take 1 to 2 capsules 2 to 3 times a day. My personal recommendation is to take 3 to 4 capsules or more 2 to 3 times a day. You have to double it or quadruple it in that case. When you're dealing with tonic herbs, I'm not talking about supplements, I'm talking about tonic herbs. So keep that in consideration. You can do these things every day. In fact, that's how they're designed to be cumulatively beneficial. The next thing is creating a well-strategized ritual in order to gain consistency of your protocol. So one of the things that trips people up is that, and we're all a victim to this, we all do it in our daily life, is that a lot of times we get excited about the new thing and we throw it into our lifestyle. We may stay consistent for a day or two, a week, even a month, but then somewhere down the road we fall off track. So what I found is that if you create a ritual that is backed up by a vision, understanding your desired outcome, for example, and then you develop a day-to-day ritual, then that will create consistency, and that will also create something to look forward to. Because when we have rituals in our life, we generally adhere to those rituals based on the enjoyment of it. So, for example, for some people, that could be making their morning tea. For me, I've been doing organic coffee tonics lately, and every morning that's kind of become my ritual. So there's a consistent familiarity associated with that, where I kind of know in the morning that's my next step, and that can change and adjust over time. But just creating that structure in your day-to-day life will be very beneficial for creating the foundation or framework for your nutrition strategy that you're looking to create. Okay, and the next thing here is actually applying various methods of administering herbs. So herbs come in different forms, and we'll try to keep this very simple. They come in hot tea form, so that would be like the whole leaf or the whole mushroom, for example, that we are going to boil down into a hot tea to apply heat to it to extract out the heat-soluble or water, or more accurately, water-soluble fractions of that plant, so we can get that in our hot tea. Then there's also alcohol tinctures, which are generally the lipid-soluble or the fat-soluble fractions or the alcohol-soluble fractions of that plant that we're trying to get into an alcohol form as a tincture that is effectively driven into the cells of our body. Also, you can do it in a cold tea. So you can make a cold tea. You could just let your herbs seep, like Gynostemma tea, let that seep in water for a while, and then pour that cold tea as a smoothie base. So you can just stack these things on top of each other. So you're actually doing multiple herbal teas in a single day, but you're doing it in different formats so you can actually saturate your body and actually keep the entertainment factor going. Because if you do the same thing over and over, it can get boring and tedious, it can get repetitive, and sometimes we need a little more variety in our day-to-day structure. So that's a great way to do it. Also, making raw chocolate is a great way of applying herbal remedies, making superfood ice creams, this kind of thing, as I mentioned before. And the next thing is, if you are doing herbs, like in this case, she's doing herbs for therapeutic reasons. In that situation, you're actually going to need to up your dosage and the consistency of dosage throughout a given day. So where someone might do 1 tea a day, you might need to do 3 teas a day. I think she's dealing with some issues that are guiding her to use things like Chunka-Piedra, I believe, for breaking down kidney stones, fibrotic scar tissue, and I think Gynostemma was in there. There were a few other things. I don't recall the exact list, but you need to do these things. I would recommend 3 times a day, 3 strong teas a day, and then what you can do is actually cycle in and cycle out. Another key concept to understand in this dosage equation is that if you oversaturate your body over time of the same food, the same nutrient, especially when we're dealing with whole food, superfood, powdered concentrates, and herbal concentrates, these powders are very concentrated in different elements that can actually affect strong physiological change. When you oversaturate your body with it, it can actually cause intolerance. Now, when we're dealing with tonic herbs and superfoods, it's very difficult to do this, but over a long duration of time, it is a reality. So just keep that in mind. I recommend doing the 2 to 3 strong teas 4 to 5 days a week. Take 2 days off, cycle it in, cycle it out. change it up those last 2 days. Consider that like a physiological reset, where you're just giving your body a break from the consistency of it, and you just stick to your regular organic diet that includes fresh raw food, maybe some of your superfoods that you may not normally play with all the time, and some different protocols. Also, start thinking about non-food related activities like exercise, like writing, like reading, different intellectual, creative endeavors that actually keep your mind away from food. So we're not always thinking about what can we put into our mouth, because a lot of times we're just overeating, and that causes kind of a neurotic holding pattern where we're attaching to food as the primary remedy when food is just a catalyst for change. But that change can be expressed in all kinds of different avenues. Like I said, creative endeavors, spending time with loved ones, getting out into nature, really exploring the fringes of what's possible outside of dietary measures. So hopefully that helped you. I know this was a little beyond just the basic question, but I felt like I wanted to address a few other avenues that may prove beneficial in your exploratory endeavors while you're dealing with this condition. So feel free to leave any questions for future videos. I will try to get on track with this Wednesday's video, and until then, we'll catch you later.